right, people. What the fuck is going on? Now, you got the followers. Yeah, this shit loud. I guess I can go ahead and turn it off now because I was watching the Five Bloods on Netflix. So I just finished it up this morning. I started watching whenever the fuck I started watching, a day ago or whatever, and I just finished it up. I said, let me finish watching this movie, because I actually turned it off. You know what I'm saying? I probably 3/4 of the way through. I didn't know I was that far into the movie, but about 3/4 I'm done. There's a message somewhere in this movie, and whether I just don't get it, or I just don't care, because I don't think the movie is all that great. But I'm just like, what the fuck? It's one of the, I pick a random ass movie, right? Say the Five Blood. Okay, boom. I see Chadwick Boseman picture on there. I was like, Chadwick. Okay, this is a Chadwick Boseman movie I hadn't heard of or seen. He ain't in it a whole lot. Come to now that come to think about it, I can't even tell you when it was made, but he ain't in it a whole lot. It also got Jonathan Majors in it, which is somebody I have no idea. I wouldn't even recognize Jonathan Majors if I hadn't watched Ant-Man a few weeks ago. So yeah, I was like, wait a minute, is that the dude? Is that King? Is that King in this movie? And it was like at the end of the movie, the credits come up and it was like, Jonathan. I was like, I finally seen something with him in it. Sadly, it was not a good goddamn movie. We got Delroy Lindo and probably some other. There's one other dude that I recognize, and then it's a bunch of other people that other folks would probably recognize that I wouldn't. But I didn't get this movie. I didn't find it enjoyable to watch, which is obvious since I stopped watching it. And the only reason I went back to it because it's fucking Monday morning and I ain't got shit else to fucking do. And it was, I'm watching, I'm disgusted to the point to where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna shoot a review on this movie when it seems like a movie I should just skip. Cause I don't get the fucking message. You got this Vietnam. I did that in my other video when I tried to say Vietnam. War shit going on. You got this, I don't know how to describe all the groups of people in the military. They got a 1st Regiment, 2nd Battalion, whatever the fuck. The big red one, and somewhere up in there is where these Negroes are. Because it's a black movie. It's about them. That's why I didn't say the A word. Just say Negroes. So they end up going back to Vietnam, like they old men now, to get some gold that was buried, that they had found. It was supposed to be a payment from the U.S. to the Vietnam government people, whatever the fuck was going on back then. End up getting intercepted, lost, whatever the fuck. They found it, they buried it. They went back. This is many, many years later. 20-something years later, they went back to get the gold. And you can't move that much gold. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of gold. And when you think, I'm looking at it, I'm looking at this big box that this gold is in, and I'm like, even if you divide all that up, all y'all old asses with some backpacks would have packed that shit up out of there. I don't know, man. It ain't like y'all been training for 20 years to be able to just strap that shit between the five of them and get them up out of there. But whatever, it's a movie. Because they was deep up in the woods. It wasn't like they wasn't by the road or some shit. They was off up in the woods where they rendezvous would take them a couple of days to get back to get picked up. But they found a way to get out there. They actually found the fucking shit. And of course, this is a movie, so They are friendly and all that kind of stuff. They, old army buddies or whatnot. Shit finna go sour as soon as they find the gold, which is typical. And that's one thing that irritates me about anything I watch is when shit is typical. Do something different. At least act like you're gonna do something different. At least act like you're gonna do something different. And right after that, it just goes off the rails. Shit just the movie just takes a big giant dump after that. Because everybody started turning on each other and arguing about this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, and on top of that, they got to deal with being able to get that much gold out the goddamn country. So they had to deal with some people, some French folks, who double-crossed them. It's just like, I'm just like, it's too much. It's too much. Then motherfuckers start dying off. You got one motherfucker blew himself up right after they found the gold. He stepped on a landmine and blew himself up. I'm just like, and he was the first one talking some dumb shit, and they just killed him off. It's just a whole bunch. What is that? Black Lightning? I am not watching that. Somebody told me that if you can get past this, that, and the other, you might enjoy Black Lightning. I'm like, all that shit that you just mentioned is shit that I don't want to deal with watching the show. That little clip they got right there look awesome, but the little thumbnail clip of Black Lightning that show up when your screen is out on Netflix, I was like, that look like it might be good. No, I done seen the actual trailer for it. I'm like, I'm not watching that. I don't want to watch it. I might watch it. I'm sitting there looking for shit to watch. I don't watch this stupid ass movie, and I done watched 7 seasons of goddamn Orange Is the New Black, which I didn't like. So why the fuck not? Yeah, but this Fire Blood shit, I watched it because I saw Chadwick Boseman in it. And I started seeing faces that I recognized, and I thought it was going to be a decent movie, and it turned out to not be good to me at all. Because I'm like, okay, it's a message in here, because you can tell it's a black cast mostly, except for the Vietnamese and the French white people that's in it. But it's like the guys, you know what I'm saying? It ain't really obvious from the beginning until you hear them say their names, and they all named after like the original Temptations. I ain't gonna say the original Temptations, but the popular Temptations. One dude is named Melvin, one is named Otis, one named Paul. I done seen that movie 1,000 times. I should be able to name them all. But he named 4 of them. Let me see. Otis, Melvin, Paul. It's another one. Why can't I think of the other name? God damn it. They said 4 names. They were all Temptations. And the dude, the guy named Paul, his son ended up coming out there. Him and his son don't have a good relationship. But his son just happened to be named David. I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. These are random ass people now. You gotta think these are all army buddies, so they're not born in the same place. You know what I'm saying? They all come together, in the army and become friends then and blah blah blah. And y'all, all of y'all just so happen to be named after the goddamn Temptations. Or maybe that's why they was friends anyway. You be like, you know what? We all named after the goddamn Temptations. We all got Temptation names. Get the fuck out of here, man. Because the only thing that mentioned it, his son was in this bar, and he was chatting up the French lady, and he said his name was David, and she said, oh, kind of like David blah blah blah. She named some like the Bible, like David of the Bible. Yes, I can't do French accent, and he was like, nah, like David Ruffin. I would roll, just roll your eyes, just, oh man, just get the fuck up out of here. Like David Ruffin, really, that's the name you want? You know how that ended, right? I don't, my middle name is Paul, so that didn't end well either, goddamn shit. Fuck them names. Now I want to go get my name changed or something that ain't got a Temptation tied to it, shit. But that made me kind of roll my eyes back when he was He was just talking to this one of the guys. The guy named Paul was talking to somebody, and he was just introducing. He was like, "This is Melvin Otis," and I can't even think of the fucking names of the Temptations, but he just named them all off, and right, they just. I said, wait a minute, all the motherfuckers named after the goddamn Temptations. But anyway, it's supposed to be some political shit about, you know, them going back and getting a goal, because that goal is supposed that goal can be reparations for black folks and all kind of other shit and all. But then they get out there and they got to split the goal between them. And the one guy that was talking about this goal is supposed to be reparations for blah 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 blah, and they was like, shit, you can take your share and do what the fuck you want with them. And he started walking backwards and talking. Yeah, my mama told me, now I'm getting ready to say some shit, but you know, that money is the root of all evil. Boom, he stand on the fucking, because he had, out of all of them, he had went off, made a whole bunch of money, but you know how you know what happens with a lot of people. They end up with a bunch of money, he end up losing it all. He was telling them that they thought he was rich because he still had the black card, because he had paid for all of them to come out there. But he was the main one that was talking about giving the goal to the black folks. Like, how you gonna do that? I mean, they kind of showed how you could do that at the end of the movie, but at that point it didn't fucking matter. I don't fucking care. I really didn't. I didn't fucking care. But it's just like he got the goal. He holding the gold ball up, preaching to them about money being the root of all evil. He walking backwards, not looking where he going. You watch movies, you know something for to happen. You know something for to happen. You just walking backwards, talking some shit that ain't nobody in the group trying to hear, and blah blah blah. Something for to happen to this dude, because they setting it up. They setting it up. You know, I'm like, oh. And then it was like blap, and that goddamn landmine just, because it don't surprise you when it happened. If you watch any movies about any kind of warfare that was going on over there, the main thing is it's always landmines everywhere. From fucking 50 goddamn years ago, there's still landmines in the goddamn ground out there. You know what I'm saying? that's still fucking active for some goddamn reason. Most durable product ever. And when I told you about the Paul's son, David, you know, the Jonathan Majors guy, the young one out of everybody that's there, was talking to that French lady, and he was like, well, what you doing here? And she told him that, you know, they go around and disarm mines and shit like that and blah, 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 blah. And it's like once they start walking, once after that, and they actually get to the point where they got their group together and everything set up to go out and actually look for the gold, you know that's going. They're not bringing up the goddamn landmines for the fuck of it. So, man, it's and like I say, everything could be, all that shit could be smoothed out. But this don't seem like it was a movie that's. It's a movie that somebody just made. You know, it wasn't made to, you know, make a lot of money or not. It was made probably just to be where the fuck it is now. So it probably ain't fair to just criticize the fuck out of it. But, you know, when you see shit, you see shit. I'm sitting there watching it, and the shit that's happening, especially with Delroy Lindo character, Paul, he got some PTSD shit going on, and where he just going off and just didn't help the movie at all. You know what I'm saying? And he end up taking his bit of the gold after they have a big firefight between them and some Vietnamese people that found out that they was out there getting the gold. They came to get they shit, and you know, he ended up going off on his own, screaming some shit about the Bible and all kind of stuff. That's when I turned it off. I was like, this is ridiculous. That's when I turned it off. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous, man. I tell you what, Delroy Lindo got a chance to ham it the fuck up. I tell you that. Seemed like a role he would play, as far as the type of movie and stuff like that, I think he one of those political people. I think I've seen him on a show somewhere on like some political stuff. I think he one of those people that speaks out. Yes, whatever. And he looked like a motherfucker I wouldn't fuck with. He just looked scary to me. If he came in my house right now, walked in and told me to do something, I'd probably do it. I'm like, okay, when you need it. No question to ask, motherfucker. Shit. He look like he got a no nonsense ass face. There, Orlando. I don't really see him in a whole lot, but once you done seen his face, you ain't gonna forget that shit. He like one of them motherfuckers. Like if you went somewhere to go get a job, right? You went somewhere to go get a job, and you sat down, and the manager, the owner, whoever the fuck came in to interview you, and it was him, you'd be like, oh fuck, I don't want to work here. I see that right now. Like, nope, I do not need this job. I will wait for another motherfucker to come along. You, sir, look like, I don't know what the fuck you look like. I don't want to be here. Yeah. But yeah, I did much care for it. Towards the end of the movie, motherfuckers started down. Once everybody, once shit started to happen, the French, come to get their little share of the gold and all this other stuff. Everybody start turning on each other. That's when all the plots start colliding and all kind of shit. And they got, what's that dude? Jean Reno, that French guy. He one of them guys. If you see him, you'll recognize him. But he's like, well, I'd recognize him. I think most people will, if you've seen his face, you'd be like, yeah, I've seen him in something before. I remember they used it was like some Onimusha, this goddamn video game for some samurai game, and they actually used his character, his likeness as a character in one of them games. Just weird for a Japanese game, but I can't say that. So, French people was way the fuck over there anyway. But anyway, once they got to the end, I'm just trying to get through it. I guess they didn't really show. It's one of the movies where it kind of jumps shit. It skips. You know what I'm saying? It's like either they just skip shit or a bunch of shit got cut out. Cause something might happen and it'll just go bloop, and you go to some shit and you be like, well, shit, what happened in between there? Because they had all that shit happen between them and the French and all the other shit. The next thing you know, they was showing motherfuckers, fucking Black Lives Matter shit. Some kind of, that's when they showed that, and I guess everything kind of settled itself out some kind of goddamn way. We didn't get to see that. How they got the money out the country and was able to distribute it or whatever the fuck. They just showed two things to where it was some kind of black organization. And they just had somebody come in. I thought it was going to be somebody that was in the movie. It was just some random dude come in there with a room full of people and say, we just got a check for $2 million. And everybody in the room, a bunch of black folks, because it was a black organization. And that turned into a Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. I was just like, get the fuck off my screen. I'm like, get the fuck off my screen with that. I don't want to hear none of that shit. It could have been anything. Y'all didn't have to throw that Black Lives Matter crap in there. Just get the fuck out of here. Didn't have nothing to do with nothing. You know what I'm saying? They have nothing to do with nothing. They could have just had a black organization that got donated $2 million and they were just happy to have it. But it just had to turn into a fucking chant about Black Lives Matter. That's my honest reaction to that shit. And then they showed, after that, it went to another little press conference looking thing. I'm guessing it was somewhere in Vietnam, to where they had $3 million and they was gonna use that to go towards the whole thing was still removing ordnance and mines and shit off the roads and shit like that. It wasn't no weird ass chant and dancing around and shit like that going on with that. They were just like, okay, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then they showed after that some live speech. They showed some live speech excerpt. I guess that's the right word for a Martin Luther King speech in New York. And they had him speaking. I guess he was speaking on something, whatever, Vietnam or whatnot. And then they had the little prologue text at the end, like 1 year later, and Martin Luther King was assassinated. And I'm like, what the fuck that got to do with the movie? You know what I'm saying? We all know that. You know what I'm saying? That was before I was alive. You know what I'm saying? I was born in 75. So that stuff was well before I was even around. But, you know, black folk in general, we, you know, you gonna get that a bunch of that shit drilled in you, whether you want to or not, you know, coming up. You know, black history type stuff. So you gonna know at least a little bit. You gonna know that much. But I'm like, okay, but what did that have to do with the shit that went on in the movie? Them dudes getting together, going back to Vietnam to dig up some gold they hid that wasn't theirs to start with. You know what I'm saying? You just put it like that. It wasn't their gold to start with. It was some gold that was from the U.S. government to the Vietnamese people. And that was it. They went out, they found the gold and dug it and hid the shit. So basically they went back to get some stolen ass gold that half of them got killed over. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, a handful of them went over there. What, 2 of them made it back? As far as I can tell, I can only, looking at the movie, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 5 of them total. It was 4 adults, 4 old men. Otis, Melvin, Paul. I can't think of the other name. I can think of some names right now, but it was them. It was the 4 old dudes and then David, the one young kid. He kind of tagged along. They didn't even know he was there. He showed up after his dad. Dad didn't even know he was gonna be there. He kind of just pooped. Hey, I'm here. And I only remember one guy and young David that made it out of there. So 3 of them died. You know, 3 of them died. I think Melvin was the one that blew up with the landmine. He was the one that wanted to give all the money to reparations and shit. And then you have Paul, the one that was nuts. He went off by himself, ended up falling down and losing his share of gold. They showed him like falling down his hill. His backpack got caught in a tree or somewhere. And I'm like, really? That he stepped on a rope trap that grabbed his ankle. And he ended up falling down his hill or whatnot. And he had his leg. He ended up getting his leg out and whatnot. But he was like tired. He got bit by a snake. He was having a whole psychotic episode. And then he was like, he knew he couldn't get that gold. He was like, well, Norman, you can have it. So he just left the gold up, just hanging up there. You could have crawled your ass up that fucking hill and got that goddamn backpack full of gold. But he was like, Norman, you can have it. And went walking off and all kind of shit. But they didn't show what happened to him. They just showed him digging. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck? So I'm thinking they got him digging this big hole. So I'm thinking, okay, he might have, found some shit and no, they then they showed that it's like 4 or 5 fucking Vietnamese with AKs pointing at him. They making him dig his own goddamn grave. Dig faster. So he digging the goddamn grave. He was like, man, this hole big enough. Blah blah blah. And then he start, talking to them. And then start singing some old Motown shit. I'm like, man, you would have to see. It's dumb. You know, I'm pretty sure he knew he was for the fucking, when they got him digging his own goddamn grave. He ain't new to this. He knew what the fuck was getting for to happen. But, you know, they listening to him talking shit. Yeah. And then it's like, he started singing. I'm like, dude, at this point, I'm like, if you gonna shoot me, shoot me. I'm not for, I mean, you gotta think, they had them little spades, right, that they dig with. You looking at that big ass hole, ain't no way he dug all that with that big ass hole. And he's still standing there like that. Man, you would have been there all day digging a hole that big for that big 6 foot. That dude, Daryl Lindo, look, I'm 6'3". He looked like he taller than me. He at least my height. If you see that dude and he ain't at least 6'3", he would look weird. His proportions and shit won't look right on somebody that's fucking 6 feet tall. It just don't. He looks tall. He taller than everybody else in the show, so yeah. But yeah, for him to, oh man, get the fuck out of here. He died. Then there was another one that died. He jumped on a grenade to save, another guy. He had got shot. He was, anyway, man, I was just like, yeah, he went and jumped over. It just about as casual as you could, grenade. And that was it. He didn't move from that spot. Of course, you're not gonna move from that spot once that grenade go off. But his fat ass muffled the fuck out of that grenade. I was like, huh. But but I'm like, I was thinking, man, you could have easily went any other direction other than where that grenade was. But they didn't show that his dude was sitting right there in the opening right next to the grenade. They didn't show that until afterwards. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm like, why would your dumb ass wouldn't jump? Even then, I'm like, just, you know, if it was thrown on in a group and maybe, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, fuck it. You know, I ain't doing shit. Boom. But if it's one motherfucker right there and he had already been shot, and I'm just full bodied and just no injuries, no nothing, I'm just gonna jump on the goddamn grenade. Ah, man, yes. Not that you had that much time to think about it, but yeah, my first instinct is, you know, it was places he could have ran and dived and to at least escape a bunch of the explosions, you know. He went jump right on top of it. I was like, And then and that was like at the end of it. After that part, because that little French dude that threw the grenade, Jean Renault, was getting ready to just shoot the other one. They gave the other dude, David, he got shot in the leg or something, so he was just out of commission. He gave him a gun early. He was like, I ain't gonna be able to shoot this gun. You know, he put it up. You know, it's just like you give him a gun. He was like, I ain't gonna be able to shoot straight. I ain't never shot a gun in my life. And then he put the gun over to the side as soon as he got, you know how somebody take a gun, they kind of look at it, but he took the gun, was like, put it off to the side or whatnot. And then later on, you got, you know, he's sitting right over there. The only other motherfucker that's still alive is got a gun to his head by the French dude. The French dude get ready to shoot his ass. And I'm like, you know what the fuck is finna happen. You know what is for to happen. I'm just like, the way it's framed, the dude was laying on the ground. He, you know, and the French dude is over the top of him with the gun pointed at his head, you know, talking like people do before you just shoot a motherfucker. I don't know why you got to talk to him before you shoot him, just shoot him. And then, of course, he's sitting there and all of a sudden, you see his head do that shit. He done got shot from across the goddamn way. Just straight up headshot by somebody that said they ain't never shot a gun in this fucking life. You knew it was coming. You know it was coming. It's just like, typical. I don't like typical when I'm watching fucking shows and shit. It's just like, you knew it was for the album. It's framed like it. It's just like when you watching what the fuck is that? Somebody's driving. They driving. You know how people be driving, and yeah, you know when we went to the grocery store, you know what I'm saying, I wanted some canned peas, and they didn't have the canned peas, so I went and I just said, fuck it, I'll buy the frozen ones, but I don't like the frozen ones all that much. Most people like the frozen ones, but you see that car coming from the you see that car coming from the driver's side window while they over there talking and not looking where the fuck they going or some shit, and then you see that car coming, wham! You know it. Anytime you got somebody driving and they not paying attention to what the fuck they doing, the way that they frame it, you know something for the happen. And if it don't happen, you kind of disappointed. You're like, shit. It's like that in Orange is the New Black. Orange is the New Black got those fucking scenes where they have the inmate. I don't know why that's a fucking thing. Why they have inmates drive the vans. That is fucking stupid as fuck. But anyway, the inmates drive the vans. Anytime they have to make a van run or something like that, a guard, goes or they have to take one of the inmates to chemo or some shit like that, and the inmate be driving. Of course, it's a show, so they got lines and shit. So they just talking and driving, and they like this the whole time. And I'm like, the whole show they do that shit. I'm like, it ain't no wreck when that shit happen. I am disappointed. I'm like, she talking to the motherfucker in the back seat, like, yeah, but then you talking to the car, blah, 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 blah. Like, bitch, are you still on the road? Are you still on the road? Well, I can do this way now. Yeah, are you still on the fucking road? God damn, pay attention to the way that shit irritates the fuck out of me. That's why, even like with me, I don't drive that much now, and I'm in the car now. I'm in the car with Uber people now, so they usually know about their business. But with casual folks, like a normal person that I know come by, pick me up and go somewhere, some shit like that, motherfuckers be on the phone and doing this shit here. And now, get your ass on the goddamn road. You know what I'm saying? Get your ass on the road. I'm sitting on the passenger side in the goddamn lane divider's going between my motherfucking legs. I'm like, you need to get over here and stop riding the car in front of you, please. Pay attention where you fuck you going. I would like to get there. Goodness gracious. You gotta be talking about something totally different than this stupid ass movie, because that movie is dumb. But that's it. That's my shit on the movie. Not a good movie. If you just happen to run across it on Netflix, just click on more info and just hit thumbs down. Don't even bother watching it. Don't even bother watching it. I gotta look it up just to give it a thumbs down, because when I backed out, it took it out of the. I still got it. I think I put it in my list, but yeah, I gotta give it a thumbs down. It's just, I don't like it. Me no like it. Now I try to find something to watch. That it's a new show that came on Netflix called AJ and the Queen or something, and it's about a little kid and a bunch of transsexual cross-dresser type of stuff. I don't know. It's probably both. I'm not totally ignorant of all that stuff, but there are different levels to that shit. You just can't go calling people something. They might just be a transvestite, a cross-dresser, and and motherfucker might, they might be just gay, and you got transgender people and all kind of other stuff. Just cause the motherfucker might dress up and like a woman and live as a woman, that might not mean they transgender. They might just like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of weird stuff out there. It's a lot of weird stuff out there. It's not normal. I ain't saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not normal. If you ain't run across that stuff, you won't know the stages, or not even stages. It's not. It's just it's a lot of little pockets. It's a lot of little pockets that you have to know how to address people properly. You know what I'm saying? You just do. I'm one of those people. I'm gonna call you what I see, and what you think you project, it might not be what I see. You might think you a she, but you look like a he. Ain't my fault. I'm gonna call it until you can correct me, but like, I'm a she. I'm like, okay. More than likely, I won't be around you long enough to call you anything. So You know, I sit in the house all day. I ain't out there just socializing with people like that. But yeah, that show is coming out, and I try to avoid that type of stuff because I don't be caring about the issues that they bring up. You know, I'm a straight dude. I don't fucking care. It's like somebody bring up some shit about some white folk shit. I don't care. Even if you bring up some shit about some black folk stuff, which I just got through watching the movie that I'm watching now. You know what? I don't fucking care. You know? If the show is good, it ain't gonna matter. It's just like Orange is the New Black got a bunch of that stuff on it. After a while, you overlook all the little lesbian sex and all that other stuff. I mean, it's probably a little bit, I ain't gonna say it's too much in there. It's not as gratuitous as you might think. It's a lot. You might see some unnecessary nudity, but I wouldn't call it. I mean, you ain't like you could just up there and see somebody crotch. If you see some nudity, it's usually in passing. It ain't just somebody nude. Most people are covered up in there. Like they usually if they nude, they usually got a towel or whatever, covered up or whatever. Even the main character, little white chick, and her and couple of other folks. There's some folks in there you never see nude. There's just some folks in there that you might see nude that you wouldn't think you would see nude. You're like, well, at least topless, not just nude. It's just like, man, I didn't think they was gonna show her without no top on. Not everybody you want to see without a top. Most people that you want to see nude, you ain't. That's just how that show works. Just put it like that. You'll see some random nudity in the background that's you be like, okay. But as far as the main cast, if you want to see them naked, you probably won't. That's just how it is, especially when it comes to Puerto Ricans. They be like, I want to see her naked. No, you get to see fucking Piper with her top off again. No, thank you. I just it ain't much of her there to see. You know what I'm saying? It's just. She's a thin white woman. It's just, there ain't nothing to see there. You can't see it. It ain't like she got some bumps back there to make you want to be like, ooh. Anyway, I'm done. I'm talking about a whole nother show now. But anyway, I'm finna get the fuck up out of here. I will catch y'all on the flip side. And please don't watch the Five Bloods. It's DA Five Bloods. So the way that fuck that movie, man. Fuck it.